Fanatically Correct. Brought to you by us, fans like you, but mostly us.
In a dark corner of the world, three men will work together to bring you a podcast like no other. This is Fanatically Correct, where the fans, the geeks, and the nerds are always correct. With your host, MSK, Yo Peace, and Omega.
All right, well, we're going to try something a little different tonight. MSK here, and I'm going to play for you an interview that Yopis and Omega conducted at the Sunrise City Comic Con with voice actor, DC Douglas. That was awful. That was terrible. I'm sorry. But you know what? Just sit back, relax, and listen. Please listen. Please listen.
Here on the stage with me, I have, with experience within the entertainment industry, please don't feel old, of about over 35 years. It's a family-friendly event. Body of work spanning over 330 projects in voice acting, writing, sound, directing, producing, and more. I was going to list all of it. He's a worker in the industry. You may have heard of him in such franchises as Mass Effect, Star Trek. Actually, I know that episode well. Persona 5 and Sharknado. We at Fanatically Correct know him best as Albert Wesker from the Resident Evil franchise.
Excellent.
So thank for joining us, DC Douglas.
Yeah, baby. Woo! Hello. Hi, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people here. Hi, 10 people.
For now, we also do the podcast, so we're gonna.
We're doing a podcast, and
yeah.
to the thousands listening on the podcast.
Okay, let me correct that. We're actually
the negative.
the
negative way. We're going the opposite way.
We can barely get our wives to listen
Your
to us.
podcast kills people?
Yes. I'm sure we do somewhere in the world. I'm sure we are doing that.
We're so emotionally drawn when people are driving, listen to us. It causes car accidents.
Oh, that's
So we'll do like we did before. We'll get started and we'll take questions from the audience and just give your name and say the question. Something I like to ask, and hopefully we get something very different than we got from our previous guest, Aaron. How did you get started into the industry?
I found the most powerful person I could sleep with.
That's kind of close to it. A form of nepotism, but not really.
I didn't see this answer going any other way.
That's right, exactly.
This is going to be...
Do you not know my brand?
Luckily for the podcast sake, we edit and post, but...
It's interesting, though. It's like, what do we mean by when we say started in the biz? Exactly.
Okay, so in other words, was this something that you always, this industry always aspired to do? And if it was, how did you go after it?
Right.
Was it nepotism like our previous celebrity?
I started at 7, so no. At 7 years old, I realized I wanted to be an actor, and I was watching. I was at home sick, I think, that day, so I'm sitting on the couch in my underwear, and my mom and my sister were out at the store, and there was one of those movies that ends short. And back in the day of like regular network TV. During the day, it was local programming. They would always have to fill in that empty spot so they could get up to the end of the hour. So they would put in these different kind of shorts and things. And in this particular one, they did Hollywood and the Stars, which was these little film shorts that were made in the 60s. And I'm watching this like in 1972 or 3 or whatever. I'm bad with math, probably 73. Anyway. So it was about special effects in the movies, and they were showing like these movies in the 50s, and then how like a guy's shooting a gun at a car window, and they stop the frame, they stop the camera, put these little things on them, make it look like bullet holes, start the camera, stop it again, put another one, so then it goes, and it looks like they've just shot the thing, and I'm like, there is a place where you can make believe. Like you could go, it's playtime and you get paid. I'm going to be an actor. So it's really kind of a bizarre way to say, like, there was nothing about, I can live the human story and all of that. It was more like special effects. Ooh. I don't know why I didn't go to special effects. It would have been easier, a lot easier. So that was the beginning of it. But also partly around that same time in school, we sometimes we would do skits to try to learn about a particular thing. And ours was, I think, about first aid or whatever. So I played a lamb or a sheep that was out on the farm, and I get injured. And so they're supposed to bring me back and like bandage me up and all that. And I turned it into a whole character. And I had the kids laughing through the entire thing. And then they take the bandage off, and I did the whole screaming with the hair, my fur coming out and like that. And there's a high that you get from having an effect on other people. And so that was like around the same time. So, I mean, I just innately, I think I've been a performer, and it also runs in my family. My grandmother worked in burlesque. My grandfather also worked in burlesque, and my great grandfather was apparently in the circus. So entertainment, but not like the Laurence Olivier path, more like the freak path. And so I've continued that journey as a freak. So yes, I decided I wanted to be an actor, and my mom was like, okay, well, whatever. And then when we were one day when I was in I was like 11 or 12, she came home from work really upset because she couldn't stand her job and raising 2 kids on her own. And she said, you two are not going to end up where I am right now. And you need to figure out what your dreams are, and you need to start pursuing them right now. Like, again, that's, mothers transferring stuff. But my sister's like, she's like, what do you want to be? To my sister, who's a little older. And she's like, rock star. She's like, well, then you need to learn how to sing. So we'll get you singing classes. She goes, what about you? Actor? And I'm like, yes, actor. She said, well, then we need to get you into acting classes. And I ended up getting into a theater company called San Jose Children's Musical Theater. So that started that real process. At that point, I really started that I'm going to be, I never deterred that I'm going to be an actor, but it started to get more real at that point. But then I got horrible grades in high school, so I couldn't go to Juilliard. I did go to New York when I was 16 on my own for the first time ever and auditioned for RADA, but I didn't get into that Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. It's in England, and I did not get in because I was probably not a good actor. And then the default was, well, then I'm just going to go to LA and start there. But then I got sidetracked for a year because partly scared, partly I was lost. I was 17 at that point, living on my own, and it's a family-friendly thing, so I'll skip the other stuff. But then ultimately got my poop together and moved down to LA when I was 19, and looked up acting schools. And from there, I just was like learning one thing to the other. The voiceover was a complete accident on the side. From the beginning when I went to LA. So I went and auditioned for all these acting classes, and I didn't, you didn't have the internet then, so you didn't know. It was only whatever was listed in the yellow pages. So I picked these what looked like good schools, and so I went and auditioned for the Stella Adler Theater. I auditioned for what's that one? It's really big, and all of a sudden I can't remember that. Anyway, but they didn't have financial aid, and it was like you're going to spend a year pretending you're an animal before you get to like the actual acting stuff. And I'm like, no financial aid, and I got to crawl on my knees. No, thank you. But I ended up going into like this one guy was this guy named, what was his name? Like Sal something or other, the Star Maker. And he's like, he lived in this decrepit house near the freeway. And I'm like, his living room was a stage with lights. I'm like I'm not going here. Like I finished the audition, but at the time I'm like, I'm not going here. And when you audition, you usually give a contemporary and a classical monologue. And then I found this one place, Barbara Gill, and she was down in Florence in not a rough area of LA, especially then. And I walk in there and I do my first monologue, and she's like, that was really nice. She goes, I don't know why you're doing those for me. And I'm like, well, this is how I audition for acting. So she's like, I'm not an acting coach. She goes, well, there is acting in voiceover, but I'm a voiceover coach. And I had no idea what that was. And so then she went and explained to me the how it's used in the industry and all that. And she goes, and you have a very nice voice, and you should consider doing voiceover. And I'm like, no, thanks. But like, nice meeting you. And I left. I didn't say no, thanks. I said, I'll think about it, because I'm 19 and anybody can sway me. But I ended up finding a Stella Harmon Actors Workshop, and they were the only one that had financial aid because I couldn't afford anything. My mom didn't have money. So I decided to go there, but I had 6 months before my semester would start. So from there, I called Barbara Gill back up, and I said, well, she was like, only like $60, I think. Was it 60 a session or 60 for the month? I can't remember. It was like just enough that I could afford. And I'm like, well, I'll go ahead and take voiceover classes with you. So for 6 months, I studied with her, and I learned a lot of good technique, a lot of technical stuff. I learned that I could do some accents, not a lot. I'm not great at them, but I could do them. And but that was like the beginning of understanding it. And she would give me great advice about contracts and agents and stuff like that. But again, I didn't pursue it. I went and got into acting school, then started an improv group, was doing theater, was trying to All of that stuff. And then one day I had a non-union commercial agent because I started going out on stuff, trying to go out on stuff. And she said, here's a 900 commercial. Okay, we used to have these things called 1-900 lines. Yeah, you know them now? Okay.
Yeah, this demographic has not that.
All right. Well, they had these 900 lines, and they needed like a commercial for a TV commercial, and so auditioned for that. And I went there and talked into the mic because I knew that I had some experience, and I booked it. I started doing some voiceover things, and then I got hooked up with a place that did trailers. I started doing trailers. I don't think I did really good work. I've really come into my own in the last 15 years as far as voiceover. Or 20 years, I should say. God, time goes by. So it was all accidental. Now, with anime and video games, that again was because someone else didn't want to do something. It's amazing how many times that happens. So, for instance, I just did a Lifetime film in Connecticut for 3 weeks. I got the role. I auditioned for it, but I got it because Billy Zane dropped out. And then they,
side note, that's funny. We just did a thing with Billy Zane. And we're like,
did you really?
Yeah.
Oh my!
And we're actually doing an episode about Billy Zane. So thank you so much for that.
Yes.
Oh, that's wild.
Great.
Yeah. Well, don't tell him I took it.
No.
No, actually, or thank him. Tell him I'm glad he dropped out because it was a really fun role.
Of course.
But I mean, we're like
a Sniper 8. No, I'm just kidding.
No. But we're completely different types, and the script was written more for his type, and so I tweaked it along the way and made it more like this crunchy, like namaste kind of guy in this town. So you really don't expect me to be the killer.
That's interesting. Is I got to tell you, having a one-on-one with him. And just you right now, very different energy. Like, he's like you're laid back, but you're like, you know what I mean? Like you're animated, which I enjoy. And he's more like very, reserved, laid back, and very calm, very slow.
Yeah.
I mean, either you just had a bunch of coffee, or there's just an energy level. No, I've seen some of your.
But he has
stuff,
also that kind of very he'll look at you deeply.
Yes.
And
yes.
And you're like, are you looking at me deeply, or are you about to nod off? I'm not sure which.
Are you bored? No. So that had to be a role that was very differently,
Well, I mean, he was supposed to be kind of like a cheesy salesman guy, and I turned him into more of like a cheesy granola crunching guy. But he turns out to be the killer at the end.
Spoilers. Wow.
But back to the
don't give us the title.
So the video. So again, that's an example of somebody dropping out. I got that. I'm in 2000. The guy who on Buffy the Vampire Slayer who played the Master lived out in like Wyoming or something on a big ranch, and so he wasn't going to come in to do a video game of the show. And he didn't even at that time, video games were not that big. And so I got the job, came in, voice matching him essentially. And he literally sounds like Albert Wesker. It's like an early version of it. Did that game. So that was my very first video game. And then from there, I hooked up with a studio that had me come in, and I started doing these JRPG games. And I'll be honest, I thought throwaway. I didn't think it was important to anybody. I thought they were like throwaway jobs. So I didn't put a lot, I'm being really honest. I just didn't put that much into it until I discovered conventions. And then I'm like, why am I not in any animes? And I realized I did like an anime in 1999 or whatever. And they called me to come back. And I'm like, that's a lot of work for very little money. No, thank you. So I didn't do any anime. And then all of a sudden conventions exploded. And I'm not in any of these animes. So I reached back out to everybody and go, I'm sorry, I had an ego. I'd like to do anime, please. And then I started, and now the ball's been rolling on that too. So, and then the Resident Evil was I just got lucky. It was the place that I was going. I did all the JRPGs for. They called me in to audition to be a voice replace for Peter Jessup's version of Wesker, and booked that, did that, and then a year later they wanted me to do Wesker again, but they wanted me to audition for the mocap part of it, and I had thrown my back out. So I went to the audition. I said, I can walk around and point a gun. And they go, that's fine. And then the Japanese guy, director, he's like, okay, you're going to, and then he goes does these rolling stunts and things like that. And I'm like, no. So I didn't get the mocap of that, but I did do the face mocap for it and the voice. But then I realized, I'm in something huge. I had no idea. And then literally the next year I got Legion of Mass Effect, another huge franchise. And from that point on, it's like, I had become a different tier of a voice actor. And all along, this has been a side gig. My main gig is doing on-camera work. That's where I really, my heart and soul is. But, it's voiceover bought me a house. Voiceovers made me got me to travel around the world. Voiceovers brought me so much. And so it is, I have to say that it's my main gig. My side gig now is doing on-camera work because it feeds my soul. I like acting with my eyes. So, yeah.
And you get to do the mocap. I guess, because I know you just recently did a project that really got canceled that you were doing for motion capture.
I'm really sad about that.
I hate to hear
actually,
that.
Here,
I don't want you to
well, here's the thing:
get yourself in trouble with information.
What it was is it was the mocap company had hired us for the game,
Oh, okay.
and they said we think that it's been shelved because of COVID, budget reasons, and all that. What I think it was, between you and me and this podcast audience of negative 500, is that I think that the mocap company didn't pass muster with the game company. And so I think that that's how they let them down. And then we'll probably hear about it. I'll probably get rehired again down the line. Me and Damon. Down the line. So I just did that. I'm actually on another really big one right now. I'm so excited about it. It's not Resident Evil. And but it's
allowed to say, or
no, I'm not. I can say that
Can you say the genre, like
no, because you can guess. But I will say that it's a big franchise, and and it's a fun role, and I'm excited to do that.
See, it's impressive, especially with motion capture. We'll start taking questions from the audience now. But that actually does give you a lot of opportunity. I mean, I know it's different than the usual cameras, lights, or the theater, obviously, but it is acting out the part.
Oh, well, yeah.
Vocally. I mean, and you're
that's
really
where
getting into
where voiceover merges with the on camera, and that's what's especially now because they are picking up what your eyes are doing. It's also weird. It also brings in this third part of the theater, the stage, which is where I started. I did a lot of theater early on, and so it's like you're doing theater in the round, which is, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's theaters that are okay. So that's what the actors here. So it's where you basically are acting in almost 360 degrees, and so it's like so mocap is acting in theater in the round while always in a close up. So it's very, so even when you think you're done, you're not done. You are on the entire time.
No, I mean, it's impressive because if you see like one of our favorite videos is like Benedict Cumberbatch when he's doing Smog in Lord of the Rings, and it's the mocap, and you see him like really get it, and you usually don't get a window into that. That's what you're doing and enjoying. It's like, and that looks impressive. So when you're saying like when you were a kid and playing pretend, like that's right.
And now they have it, which makes it more fun as kid stuff. Is I actually did a mocap thing in Japan right during the pandemic hitting in March of last year, and that was the first time I'd seen this technology because I've not done a lot of mocap before. Then I did a mocap like 5 years ago or 6 years ago in San Francisco for NBA. Oh, it was longer than that because it's in the title. NBA 2K14. So it was 2014. Man, I'm so bad with math. But it was like I play this Uber agent for this player. And that's when I got to the full experience of being theater in the round and a close-up. But the technology was like, you could only see like little dots moving. Now, so in last March and then on this game I'm doing now, they live rendering like a basic render of your character in proportion to the other characters on the stage. So I can look at the screen and move around. And I'm like, this is how my character moves. So like, and the one that I did in March, it's actually a CGI movie for a game, and they're replacing our voices with the whole game was really bizarre. Like they should have hired the original actors, but they're like, no, we want you to do the bodies, but we'll record you, but then we're going to replace your voice. Okay, thanks for the money. But the thing was on it was so you see like I'm playing a portly kind of guy in this one scene, and so I'm like trying to like walk it like this, and then they show the character of it. I'm like going, oh, that's actually too much. I can actually just walk like this, and it looks just as normal.
It's basically like looking at yourself in the mirror, but the CGI version of you.
The CGI version, right, exactly. Now, the one I'm doing right now, I'm actually a huge character. I mean, stature-wise, he's very large. So it's interesting like me, like just moving fast and things like that does not work for that character because he's so big that it's going to take some more lumbering walks and things like that. And it's and that's kind of cool. The only thing that's weird is then I started going, well, if I'm really tall, should I be looking at his feet while I'm talking to him? And they're like, no, they can move your eyes afterwards.
Name and question.
Hi, I'm Jessica.
Hi.
Hello. I'm very interested in voice acting. I'm trying to sort of break into it freelance, but I've always been intrigued by mocap just because of my like musical theater background and everything like that. I like adding the physicality to it, and just seeing games like Detroit Become Human and just how into the acting that you could get is fascinating. But I've never been able to find how you break into that. Like, is
It's
there
the thing-
school?
Yeah, the thing is, it's so weird when we say break into because first off, I guess it's good to go. Don't think break into. It's just a matter of opportunities, finding those. So, I mean, I don't know what kind of work is out here in Florida. I imagine you do have a lot of voiceover work out here because you've got some, I think.
Some.
But mocap wise, video game work was probably not here. Probably get some in like New York, Atlanta, but mainly like San Francisco and Los Angeles, or up in Vancouver. So sometimes it's about proximity. So when you want to just do voiceover work, you can almost do it depending on the kind of career you can have. You can do it anywhere as long as you have a home studio set up and you hustle. You always have to hustle to find your work because nobody will ever. There's never a point where somebody goes, welcome, you've made it. You broke in, and now you sit here, and we're just going to send all this work to you. It's never that. I mean, I've heard this from established actors that you would know. I won't say names just because they were like private conversations, but they're always. One guy, super famous, and he said the hustle never ends. Well, there's a great documentary about Joan Rivers, where she. I wish I could remember it, but I think hustle's in the title. In fact. If you look at this Joan Rivers documentary, and it's her late in life, and you see her still hustling, making the contacts, trying to get the gigs, all of that. And that's the thing is even when you do have high-powered people, you still have to be constantly trying to find that work. So as far as back to your question, having an acting base is the most important thing. So if you're taking acting classes, fantastic. I'd also throw on their improv classes because that'll always help you in commercial work, especially because they always want like an extra little tag or something. You always want to think a little bit outside the box, so then your audition stands out. The other thing is singing classes are also really good. Now, if you want to get into mocap, because there are people that can do mocap all the time that aren't necessarily. Because sometimes they'll hire the actor to do the face, voice, mocap, all of it. A lot of times they'll hire the bodies of the people they want to do the characters, but they'll get a face model to slap the face on, and then they'll get a voice actor to throw or even face cap them and throw the expressions and voice on it. So it's hard to say what they're doing. But if you have stunt work, the more that you can learn stunt stuff, then mocap is going to love you then because they always want somebody who can be a utility player. You can do the main character, but then you can do all these other side characters, which are usually running with guns or doing a tumble and something like that, or fight scenes and things like that. So that's what I would recommend. But then again, also you will want to relocate because you're not going to probably find that work here in Miami. So yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, the more I guess the more animated you are, the more physical you are. I mean, like Andy Serkis example. I mean, he kind of like really cornered like the major of doing.
Oh my gosh! Well, he's
and the apes.
He'll be in the encyclopedia about it.
Yeah, it's insane. But obviously, what what he's saying about that, it makes sense. You want to get very physical because that's what it is. Getting very physical with the character, and usually when it's mocap, I guess exaggerating is in the game.
Well, it's interesting is it used to be because of the technology, you had to like really overemphasize all your gestures and things like that. But now it's like it can pick up the subtleties of your body movement and stuff. I mean, I just had an audition where they had me redo it, and they said, "Yeah, make just more gestures," and it's like. That's a producer who doesn't know their technology, who thinks that they need to see that. And it's like, so you do it to please them. But,
and especially like in video games and things like that, because in film, in movies, usually it's a CGI character that is going to be a larger than life character.
Well, there's that as well.
A lot of times,
yeah.
But when it's video games, a lot of the characters are background characters, they're human. They're just regular, just that you're digitizing them.
Exactly.
So you need it to look.
And they
natural.
really do pick up the subtleties now, the body sway and all the individual components of your body now. It was funny is when I did the face cap for Wesker and RE5, that was new technology then for the face cap, and it was these laser cameras that were in the studio, 180 degrees on my face. So they said I couldn't gesture in front of my face. And when you do voiceover, we're doing all sorts of weird things with our bodies to get we're like performing it out in a way that looks like we're having a little bit of a spaz attack. But then now I can't, especially when you're doing fighting sounds, usually like, ha! And you're doing stuff like that. And it's like, no, not in front of your face. So then you're down here going, ha! And it doesn't feel the same. And then they also said, now, I don't. Those of you who know Albert Wesker, this guy does not emote. There's no emotion. He's except
very Vulcan.
Disdain. Disdain is his only emotion. It's like an arrogance. Really, you? So everything is like almost dead eyes and stuff. And they go, but really exaggerate your expression so that the computer can pick it up. And I'm like, so I'm supposed to sound like Albert Wesker while doing things with my face. And it's like that, like, that's counterintuitive to what I'm doing. It was such a weird sessions.
Any more questions from the audience? Say, join me. Oh, there we go. You come up to the mic, or he's got a wireless. He got you.
Don't want to get that exercise in. I see. Yeah.
So,
This generation.
you can go right now. I am a diehard fan of the Persona franchise, and I'm wondering, how did it feel to like get into the Persona franchise, like as like Tsuru Kamoshida?
Well, a Super Kamoshida, we did it. Was that a anime?
It was Persona 5, I think. Like
No, there's a Super Kamoshida, but yeah, but we didn't do the English voice for that.
Oh yeah, Kamoshida Man. Kamoshida Man for Persona Q2.
Yeah, where he's like an actual hero or something, which is like, why would you take the pedophile and make him a hero? It was really weird. So here's the thing: is I knew of the Persona universe. In fact, I did another thing where I played a god, but it was like these cards. Like, so there's like a real basic like version of Persona, right?
Yeah.
And there's like spin-off or parallel game franchise universe crossover, whatever.
Yeah.
So I knew of it, but I didn't really know. I didn't think it was that big a thing. And I love working for that company that did this, PCB Productions.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a period of time where they were having me in a lot for different things. Not lately. But I don't know. Right these days, it's like, is it because of the pandemic? Or do you not love me anymore? So I need to reach out. So she was like fun because she would get me. So Persona 4 Dancing All Night was the first Persona I did. And she calls me in for this thing. And that's when I first learned about Persona. I'm like I asked a friend, I go, is Persona big? And she's like, oh, my friend goes, yeah, it's very big. I'm like, well, that's cool. And I go, so I'm thinking, what kind of like villain will I play? And I walk in and Valerie's like, I didn't even audition for this role. She's like, I picked this one especially for you, because I think you're going to have fun with it. And it turns out, for those of you who don't know, I play the dance instructor. I'm like, oh my God, you're here. You look so lovely. Oh, my loins, stop it. So it's like way out there. It's like definitely not going to get a GLAAD award. And so it was hysterical. It's such a fun thing. So then then they cast me again without me auditioning for Persona 5. And I come in to do that role, and they give me a little bit of the background and all, but they don't tell me anything else about him until I get to that scene where he's confronted by the other students and is like, she's in the hospital and all. And I start saying the lines, and then at the end of the thing, I go, wait, did he? And they're all behind the glass there looking at me, and she's like, and I'm like, you mean he's And then from there it gets crazy because then we started doing the castle stuff. So yeah,
Thank you for your question.
it felt great. You
You got a follow up?
What do you have to say about the Phantom Thieves?
Do I have like a line I'm supposed to say to that?
Anything if you want.
It's like, they're mediocre peasants.
Thank you very much. Anybody else have a question? Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm trying to be hygienic and safe.
There you go.
Very important. There you go.
Free for your spit.
So, what's your thoughts on playing Yoshikage Kira and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
I really do play horrible people.
This is a very reflective Q&A.
Yes. I will say that's the first time. So that was part of my journey of getting back into anime. Is I'd reached out to Bang Zoom and a couple other places, and I said, I'd open to doing anime again, and Mommy, who does the casting there, first I said, I hope here's what I've done and what I'm known for and all. And she's like, oh, I know you. She goes, yes, I'll have you in. And I'm like, cool. And then it was auditions for Guard Number 1, things like that, and having me come in. So, and I'm like, okay, I'll do this for a while because I think this is her just seeing how I work with everybody and maybe just pay your dues. And it was. And then out of the blue, I auditioned for that one. And that scene, and I knew nothing of the show. I just did that scene. They gave the video all the way to the end where he reveals he's talking to a hand. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what this is, but I want to do this. And so I wrote her the email. I go, I really hope I get this part because this looks amazing. And then I got it. And, she sets the voice in that first session. And she's like, have fun. And I'm like, oh my. And like I Googled it when I booked the role and I Googled the name and I'm like, there are dolls for him. And I'm like, this is going to be big. So I was super excited to get it. I was honored and happy. And since then now I'm on a show called Welcome to Demon School of Rumakun. And again, that's Bang Zoom. So I'm she's been really good to me. And that gig I did in Japan was also through her. So, or Bang Zoom. So I'm really grateful. But I'm honored that he's one of I now have 3 favorite anime characters that I've done that I wish were everyone else's favorites. But Yoshikage Kira is definitely my first one. And I mean, just great because of the monologues he has. And doing that in ADR is really difficult because you can only take certain chunks and I know there's weebs out there, whatever. But if you really look at the Japanese ADR, they don't care about the flaps. They just kind of blah, 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 blah. Like the mouth stop, but they don't care. When we do it, we try to match as much flaps as we can, but we always start and end within theirs. And so when you're doing monologues, that's real technical work because you're trying to fit the theme, fit the space, fit the flaps, yet perform it like you're that character. And then you're only doing it in little chunks. And then we go back and play the entire monologue and like, does it flow? And I was like, that's when we play it back and I went, I'm good. It was the first time I really thought I was good at anime or into ADR as well. And that is one of my favorite characters. The second one now is Caligo Nabarius on anyone watching Welcome to Demon School? Are you? Don't be ashamed about it. Do you like it? Oh, cool. I just did a really special episode for my character that is hysterical. It was a lot of work, but it's coming up in this season. So that's my second one that I'm really proud of doing. And then my third one, anyone watching the new Shaman King? Nope. Oh, you are? Yeah. So, well, then you got to watch Shaman King. That is now my 3rd favorite character that I've ever done. I play Sean Schemmel didn't want to do it, so they I auditioned. Oh, I didn't. They just cast me. They cast me in that based off of Backstreet Girls, which is a whole problematic show. Do you guys know that show? It's like people shaking their head. No.
I rummaged your IMDb.
Are you saying no? You don't know it, or like don't talk about it? Oh, okay. Because it's a problematic show, but I still had a blast doing it. But he heard the director heard my take on that, and he's like, "You wanted me for Ryu in Shaman King," and I said, I listened to Sean's version. I'm like, first off, I'm not good at Spanish accents. Secondly, I feel like you should have a Hispanic person do this or a Latin person. I don't know what the proper thing is, but it's like in these day and age, I'm like, I don't want to screw around with that. Really try not to swear, guys. And they said, no, you can voice print him your way. And I'm like, and I looked at that character and I'm like, he's a bad Elvis impersonator by the way he looks and dresses. So my Ryu is, you want to come to my special place, my happy place? And so I'm having a blast doing that character. And apparently there's a buttload of episodes coming down the pike. So I'm excited about that. Yeah. So did you get to my role in that, in Ryu, in Shaman King? No, but the 2021 version.
Yeah, he just started making that right now.
Oh, you haven't? So what about you? You said you'd seen it, but you in the back. Oh, you have? I'm done.
He's trying to learn another language.
Switch to English and listen to my version of it. It's really fun. Oh, okay. Yeah, it just dropped on Netflix in English. So 2020.
He's a Crunchyroll guy back there.
All right.
Thank you so much for your question. Any other questions from the audience for the moment? Oh, we got a few. So let's go. Let's start with front row, and then we'll work our way back to.
Earlier you said how this was effective, and everyone else is talking about video games and animes, but isn't it frightening how at every single second there's numerous black holes expanding, nearing the Earth?
Yeah. Well, isn't all of this like, why are we even existing? What is existence? Why do we, people always worry about global warming, and it's only because they're worried about the human species surviving, but we don't need to survive. The Earth doesn't need us. Literally, the Earth can shake all of this off in another million years, so...
Yopi's over here in the middle, and then our gentleman. Him first, and then we'll come to you.
Hi. So If you could redo any of the characters in your own image, which one would it be?
You're an asshole. Oops, sorry.
In a very compliment way.
I mean, like a real nice
Yeah,
one, like bleached and everything.
Like
so.
he loves that question very much.
But overall, what do you think about eggs if in the mind of Wesker?
Oh, wait, you totally switched tracks there.
Two questions, Mr.
Yeah, there's two.
Oh, wait. So the first one was if I could go back and redo any character?
Any character in the way
What
that
would-
you would want to do it as.
Oh, okay. And then what does Wesker think about
The
eggs?
second question was, what do you think about eggs with Wesker?
Personally, I like to eat my Wesker straight up. I don't know. Wait. That didn't really translate to a joke that made sense, but I did it anyway. So use that recording. No, that whole egg thing is so hysterical. So again, there's like things in that whole I just finished your hat. There are things in the Resident Evil universe that just I don't understand. I've been playing the games lately and finally like learning all these things that people have referred to for the last 10 years. And I'm like, barrels. Why are we obsessed with barrels? And but yeah, the egg thing is like the weirdest thing of all. There's like nowhere in there it's not like you go to like a special diary and it's like, and I found that the eggs are very helpful when you're like you don't even have that. It's like literally you're just supposed to know out of the blue, eggs are good. Yeah. And then as far as if I could redo any character from the beginning, my own way. Well, I mean, here's the thing. It's like it would have been. I would have loved to have been the only voice for Albert Wesker. But in 1996, I would have been too young. Well, no, I could probably been age appropriate to have done him then. But I don't think that I would have made such an interesting voice. I think that the voice print that Richard Waugh did, and then Peter Jessup expanded on a little bit, and then Waugh came back and did a little more, and then I've had to like incorporate both their impersonations into what has now evolved into my own thing. So I think. Peter Jessup was more like this, and Richard Waugh had a bit of an accent when he did his. But the guy's from Ohio. Albert Wesker's from Ohio. And I've just learned to just clench down, and that's kind of like how I get through it quickly. And I've done so much fan service with it that I don't even recall how the way I said in Umbrella Chronicles is weird. So, but when I do Albert Wesker, this is how I do him now. And I put a lot more texture into his voice, a little more breathing. And that's how I do him. But what will be fascinating, I'm doing a whole different voice. But what will be, talking my voice. So it'll be fascinating. I had to shake it off. He gets a hold of me and I can't let go. They're working their way through the remakes. So, and I know right now that they still like me. So if we get to RE5 for the remake, it'll be, they're doing it way more cinematic now with like the acting in these remakes are really good. And I'll be so excited to go back and to do him again, but to do him as a real person who's got a problem, very big problem.
Well, and Netflix I know has a newer Resident Evil animation. I don't know if they'll start going that route into that story.
Yeah, it's weird because they're so split with like they license it out to other companies, so it's like then they may not even care that I do Wesker, or they might. It's hard to say, but I don't think Wesker's going to show up in the animation that they're doing, or they already did it. The CGI one he's not in. Yeah. So they may or may not bring him in.
And thank you for your question.
But I love the live action one, Lance Reddick.
I don't know. Obviously, I don't think they would have had you voice over.
No, but the actor
they look exactly like.
But that actor that they cast, he's so good at evil, and I just love that they completely flipped it on everybody. And like having fans going, but Albert Wesker's a white guy from like what? He's fictional. And I go, is there anything about his ethnicity that says that he has to be like that it's tied to the plot? No. So get over yourself. It's all make believe. I mean, Lance Reddick is freaking awesome. I'm excited to see it. Though the premise of the fact that he has daughters and it's going to be like some sort of Leave It to Beaver thing is so bizarre.
The storyline of it. So, your question.
All right. So in RPGs like Mass Effect, a lot of the game gets redeveloped over time. So how much of those lines that you do in voice acting get like scrapped?
That's interesting, actually. It's funny is I recall auditioning for the part of Legion, and they gave us a monologue that was supposed to be like a set at a funeral or memorial. And they said, we wanted to, so he's a robot, but he does have emotions. That's how they describe it. So somewhere in there. So I did that audition, all that, and I got the role, blah, blah, blah. And then years later, I wanted to find the audition to post it online to share with people. And I stumbled onto these other things for Legion. And I'm like, apparently a year before that, I auditioned for him and I didn't know it. And it's all this dialogue that apparently is in the game, but it's another character says it now. So it's interesting to see like what their development, how it went from that and split off and he became another thing. But there is, from what I understand, there's some cheat codes or whatever in the Mass Effect 2 that you can get into, and you can have Legion on your squad earlier. And then you'll get all this additional dialogue that you don't get when you just play the game normally. So there is hidden dialogue in there. But when but in recording of it, it's like we never had to go over and redo a scene. There might be additional scene work that we were given. That took place, I think, over a year. So I didn't get a lot. Mark Meir probably has a better idea because I know that he and Jennifer, I'm having a brain fart right now. I really am I not doing well with traveling? Jennifer Hale. Those two, because playing Shepard Commander. Sorry, it's like, I can't help it. I can't help myself. Playing Shepard Commander. They would know about like if they had to go over and redo scenes for the development process. But I never did for Legion. And when they did this new Legendary Edition, I was not called in for any additional lines. So, and I was really upset when they did the whole like everyone like partied on that little DLC they did when it was like a part. Yeah, Legion's not on the Citadel. I was very upset with that. And you can't romance him either. Why do they do this to my career? But they give me the pedophile and the serial killer. No, usually in most games you don't. Video games you usually record alone. Sometimes they'll have the recording of the other person's session, and to give you more of an acting boost, they'll play their responses so you can have a little more nuance. But no, you never record together or anything. I mean, in cartoons. In original cartoons in the US, yes, we can record together with the other groups of people. Sometimes they try to get everybody together, but usually it's just like a few people. Every now and then it'll just be you. Like DC Superhero Girls, I do Deathstroke. I recorded all alone for that. But for pickups, I came back with another actress and we did ours together. So it's all dependent on different factors. But in voiceover or in video games, it's usually just you alone. Yeah.
Thank you for your question. Anybody else? Question. Okay, well, I got one. All right. We can keep it going. So you've done a lot of roles, and obviously you sidetrack. We're doing a voice. What is like a role right now that well, maybe not now, but maybe overall that you really want to get, or type of role that you're really pursuing? That's your. You
mean in voiceover?
And either.
Okay, so like
screen,
in voiceover,
I know you prefer obviously screen. So what is that role that you really feel you can do and you haven't gotten yet that you like to get?
Oh, you see, but that's I haven't gotten anything in my on-camera career. No, for voiceover, it's like you hear about like all these main villains and DC superheroes and all of that. The problem is I don't think I'm worthy of doing those characters because I'm not a fan. No offense. I'm not really a fan of much in life except life. But I don't know the canon. I don't know all the. So I never would feel like I was doing the character justice to the fandom for the fandom. There are voice actors that know rock and roll. There are voice actors that like know these different universes and characters and stuff, and so they can bring so much more depth to it. But I still would like to get one of those roles as well because I'd like the popularity of it.
Yeah, I mean, acting's acting, and you've seen a lot of roles. They like just an example off the top of my head, like an Umbrella Academy. I mean, you have like number 5, the youngest actor, and he's 15 when he got the role. Obviously, he couldn't have been much of a fan yet, so he picked up the books, he read for the character. Yeah. So you might feel like you fit a specific role, and even if you're not a long time, you become a fan of it for the favor of the fans.
Well, part of the thing is like justice. In preparation for RE, assuming that they get to the remake and they still cast me, I've been playing these games has been part of that has been me wanting to get a little kind of like background on all of this so that I feel even more informed if I ever get a big chance to do Wesker again like that. But as far as so that's like voiceover stuff. I really would just like a cartoon and get those residuals. I just got a residual check for The Rocketeer. I was like, oh my God, thank you. Yes.
You
like mana from heaven.
What is that, Ultraman?
That's non-union, so there's no residuals for that. That, by the way, can we just talk about? That's one of my most impressive voiceover jobs that I've done that nobody knows. So Ultraman, I play Ito, and in the Japanese version of that, they take his voice and they ramp it up and down as he talks. And it's really cool. So they send me the voice match thing, and I'm like going, so you guys are going to ramp it up and down. I just need to pick a thing and do that. And he's like, they actually don't want to ramp it up and down. They want you to do that in voice.
So it's natural.
But I'm also like, well, you did with the Japanese guy, but then with me, I got to freaking work
You
like
get
it.
the extra challenge.
But, oh my God, it was a challenge. Because so the character, he goes, I want you to be the next Ultraman. You will rise to the occasion and we will find our way there. But like, I have to really concentrate just to like do that. And then on top of that, you have to like have an intonation that makes sense for the line as well. It's like a weird alien speak. And I'm freaking awesome in it. So anyway, that's on Netflix too. You should check it out.
It was interesting. Yeah, I mean, obviously, preparation for this, IMDb, it's a great app, and man, it's a lot.
But on camera stuff, it's like I really like. I grew my hair out and all that, so I'm really trying to gather a lot of more charactery roles. So, but I'm not as. Like I need to gain weight for a lot of those kinds of roles, and I'm like, I don't want to gain. I still want to stay in shape, so I'm limiting myself in certain character stuff. But like this one I just did in Connecticut, that was wild to play. Who's like a seemingly nice, conflict resolution guy, businessman with a son, and who's dating an older woman who's played by an amazing Laura Poe, and then all of a sudden, as his plans start to fall apart, and you start to wonder, is he the killer? And like my hair's in a tight bun through the whole movie, but then as it starts to fall apart, little strands of hair come out, and then all of a sudden I've got like half my hair's out of my bun. What's going on? And then in the end scene, I'm like, I just take that off, and my hair's down and stringy, and I'm like, you gotta die. Like that's a fun role. So I enjoy fun journeys like that. So I don't have like preconceived, like this is what I need now. I mean, I'm 55. I'm like, I just like work, and I'll take work until I can get it. When it stops, I'm going to retire somewhere down here.
No, and the beauty is as you do more of the voiceover stuff, I mean, you're super friendly, super engaging.
You don't see me in the green room. Yeah, they hate me back there.
Oh, seriously. But I mean, the conventions are a huge thing. I mean, Florida alone, we do like
oh my gosh, you guys do so
one
much.
every other weekend.
Yeah.
There's 3 this weekend in different parts of Florida.
That's wild.
Happening at the same time, including.
But this was the one I wanted to be at,
and we appreciate that. There's other big ones we appreciate.
Really
you
appreciate
here with us. Any other questions before we start wrapping up? Come over. We have 2, so we'll go with him, and then we'll end with where we started. So.
Oh, thank you. Was there ever a line that you did that you got stuck in your head and you found yourself like quoting it day to day?
I would need therapy if that happened. That'd be really weird. Trying to think of some of the lines I have. No, it'd be weird. Every day I'm walking around going, mediocre peasant.
Side note, did you notice the socks? Are those umbrellas? Nice.
Oh, nice. I will say this. What does drive me nuts is that, I didn't post it. Shoot, did it save? Let me just see if it saved here. And so this happens a lot to me. Did it? It didn't save. Pooh. So I got a text. Oh, yes, it did. Right here it is. So I'm at this hotel where I've got the car was in the valet. So you text them to get it out, and then they text you when it's ready. And they go, your car will be ready in approximately 7 minutes. And I'm like, I got to post that for the Resident Evil fans. So that's like every time it's 7 minutes. Like, and I'll go to tell somebody. Now I have to know if I'm telling a friend that I'm like, I'll be there in 7 minutes. And if I have to remember if are they friends that I've met through conventions? Or are they regular friends that I've known outside of it or before then? Because those guys, I can go, I'll be there in 7 minutes. But those guys, I have to go, I'll be there in 8 minutes. Or I'll be there in 6 minutes. I can't do 7 because they won't believe me.
You're giving a shtick. Thank you for your question. And Yopi's right here. So we're ending where we started.
Thank you. So Kamishita is obviously a very, very well-known role. So I was wondering, what was your personal experience with the fan reception and reaction to that when it came out?
Well, like I was saying to them, it was great. Well, first off, I didn't think that he was going to be that big of a character from the game. And then somebody said, well, he's the first boss, so he'll have the first impact on everybody. So it was, yes, it was great. I'm like, everyone's tweeting at me back when I had Twitter before I got banned for going after freaking nut job QAnon. Anyway, but they're like, so they were getting all these like things from fans. I'm like, this is great. And then they're like going, oh, I just love Kamoshida. And I'm like, now I'm confused. Kamoshida is not a lovable. Even at the end when he asks forgiveness, it's like, no, you're a sick. So I don't quite understand. That's actually when I started to really wonder about, like with Albert Wesker and like Megalomaniac, and I go, okay, I can kind of see it or whatever, badass and things like that. But then with the Kamoshida, I'm like going, okay, there's a weird quirk in the fandom that where you guys really like disturbing people that need to be imprisoned. So, so I'm like kind of a little back and forth on him. But it is always nice that you do a game that a lot of people like. I don't like if people said, thank you for doing Kamoshida because it allowed me to get my frustrations out against this person who abused me when I was young. And I'd be like, wow, that's great that my art is out there and helping people heal and process and all that. But that's not what's coming back. It's more like, yeah, I've been thinking about it'd be kind of dangerous to date Kamoshida. And I'm like, no, that's not the impact I want to have on the community.
Not the reaction you get. Thank you so much for your question. Well, we're going to start wrapping up. Thank you everybody for joining us. DC, thank you so much.
I got to plug my Instagram at MRDC Douglas, at Mr. DC Douglas. Please follow me there.
Yes.
And if you're a Resident Evil fan, please check out. We have there's a thing that started because I've been streaming the games. It's called residentdoors.com. And it's a Discord. Go there. It's a really fun community. We're up at 500 members right now. And so sometimes I'll pop in there. We'll do stuff just for the Discord. And so they're just a really cool community of people. So yeah.
Oh, we'll get on that. We finally have a Discord thing. So
yeah, we have
and get on
just
that.
us three.
Yeah, so
it's great.
Well, if you keep killing your listeners,
we can
it's
add
like
onto
you're never going to
our
get
numbers.
more.
We'll just kind of not leech, like that fish that's on the bottom of sharks at the aquarium. It was just kind of like
be my barnacle.
Yeah, there you go.
Pretty much.
So thank you so much. And he's still around for a little bit. You catch him at his table around.
I'm doing a signing at what? I'm confused. It's all of a sudden early.
Not right.
I'm gonna
3:30, so it's gonna be.
Yeah, so in a half hour or 40 minutes, I'll be doing a signing again. I think that's the last event I have of the day. So if you want to come on by.
So thank you everybody, and thank you to DC Douglas. Give me a hand.
All right, that's it. That'll do it. That was this year's Q&A session with DC Douglas, voice actor and actor. And all right, I'm just going to jump into this. Ready? Here we go. So you can contact us at contactfancorrect@gmail.com. You can leave us an email. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. You could also check us out on our website, fanaticallycorrect.com. And basically just go to our Linktree, man. You go to our Linktree, everything's there. All the links are there. linktr.ee/fancorrect. There you'll have all the links to our, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and please review us on Apple Podcasts. That would be a huge help. Instagram, Twitter, we got it all. And that's it. Oh, and if you also want to give us a call at 786-704-8404. Remember, we're a broadcast. We can't pay for anything, international charges. That's all new. Is 1-800-COLLECT still a thing? Check out the old commercials. Maybe that's still around. I don't know. This is MSK. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of the Q&A of DC Douglas. Thank you, DC Douglas. And we'll catch you guys later. Peace out.
And there you have it, folks. This has been Fanatically Correct. Until next time, you crazy kids. Signing off.
Please. Listen to us. I'm talking to you. Yeah, you. Please listen.